The first rays of the sun stretched over Earth's horizon, painting the skies with streaks of gold and pink. On the surface, cities hummed with life as humans went about their daily routines, unaware of the momentous event that was about to unfold above them. High above, in the quiet vastness of space, the launch pad at the newly built orbital station was alive with activity. Technicians moved with careful precision, engineers adjusted panels, and scientists monitored countless readings from consoles that glowed in the dim light. Every step, every calculation, every detail mattered. They were about to send Earth's first fully operational warship into orbit, a symbol of human determination and ingenuity. The ship was called Indomitable, and it was unlike anything Earth had ever created. Its surface gleamed with a metallic sheen that reflected the stars above. Its engines were silent giants, designed to carry the vessel beyond Earth's atmosphere and into the uncharted depths of space. Its design combined efficiency, resilience, and innovation in a way that even the most seasoned scientists had once considered impossible. Every module had been stress-tested, every system calibrated to perfection, and every crew member trained for months to respond to any emergency. Indomitable was more than a ship, it was the embodiment of human potential. Captain Elias Marlowe stood at the center of the bridge, his hands resting lightly on the railing as he observed the activity around him. His uniform was crisp, his posture straight. But there was a tension in his eyes that only those who had faced impossible odds could carry. He looked at the crew, a group of men and women from different countries, backgrounds, and specialties, all united by one purpose: to show the galaxy that humanity was not to be ignored. "Today, we make history," he said, his voice calm but firm. "Today, we show them what humans can do." The crew exchanged quiet nods. Engineers double-checked the propulsion systems, making sure every component was functioning perfectly. Pilots ran simulations in their pods, preparing for every possible scenario during launch. Tactical officers reviewed communication protocols, ensuring that Earth's message to the stars would be clear and precise. Even the scientists, who usually dealt with theory and calculations, felt a surge of anticipation. They knew that beyond the technical achievements, this moment carried a larger purpose, a declaration that Earth had arrived on the galactic stage. Below them, Earth's surface was a patchwork of blue oceans, green continents, and swirling clouds. From orbit, it looked peaceful, fragile, and beautiful. Humans had lived here for millennia, exploring every corner, overcoming every obstacle, and creating civilizations that reached toward the sky. Now, for the first time, the planet would no longer be just another world among countless stars. It would be a beacon, a statement, a challenge to the assumptions of civilizations that had long underestimated humanity. The countdown began, echoing across the control room and into every monitoring station around the globe. 10, 9, 8. Each number carried weight, a reminder of the careful planning, endless nights, and tireless work that had brought them here. 7, 6, 5. The ship's engines hummed softly, a deep and steady vibration that seemed to resonate with the hearts of everyone on the station. 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Indomitable rose from its launch platform with a graceful power that defied expectations. Flames and light streaked from its engines, pushing it higher and higher into the atmosphere. The crew felt the shift, the gentle yet unyielding force that lifted them beyond the surface they had always called home. Outside, the stars seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what the humans would do next. As the ship broke through the upper atmosphere, the blue of Earth gave way to the black of space. The planet below shrank in the windows, a small, beautiful sphere spinning silently in the void. Captain Marlowe allowed himself a brief moment of awe. He had seen countless images of Earth from space, but being here, witnessing it with his own eyes, filled him with a quiet pride. This was their home, and they were carrying its flag into the galaxy. The crew moved efficiently, each member performing their duties with precision. Communications Officer Hannah Lee monitored the frequency bands, ensuring that Earth's signals remained strong. Engineer Raj Patel adjusted the power distribution, keeping the engines at optimal levels. Pilot Lieutenant Marcus Varela tested the ship's orientation thrusters, making sure they responded exactly as expected. Every task, no matter how small, mattered. They were not just operating a ship, they were representing all of humanity. As Earth's first warship settled into a stable orbit, a silence fell over the bridge. It was not an empty silence, but one filled with the weight of achievement. The realization that humans had done something no one thought possible. For centuries, alien civilizations had looked at Earth and seen nothing remarkable. They had ignored its inhabitants, assuming that humans were weak, unorganized, and insignificant. Now, as Indomitable floated among the stars, that assumption would be challenged in a way that could not be ignored. The first message to the galaxy was prepared. It was simple, yet powerful. A greeting from humanity, expressing a desire for peaceful exploration, cooperation, and the protection of their home world. Captain Marlowe reviewed it carefully, knowing that the words would be analyzed by beings far more advanced than any human. "We do not seek war," he said quietly. "We seek to be recognized. We seek to be known. And we will show them that humans are capable of greatness." As the message transmitted across the void, the crew watched the monitors for any response. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, a signal came back, a formal acknowledgement from the Galactic Council, a union of civilizations that had long overlooked humanity. The Council had seen the ship, and they were speechless. No fleet, no weapon, no signal had prepared them for the sight of a fully equipped human warship in orbit, ready not for destruction, but for presence. The reaction across Earth was immediate. News stations interrupted regular programming to show the live feed, and social media erupted with messages of pride, amazement, and hope. People watched as Indomitable orbited the planet, realizing that their species had taken its first step into the larger universe. Children stared at the sky, imagining themselves among the stars. Scientists celebrated their colleagues' achievements. Leaders recognized that humanity's position in the galaxy had shifted forever. Back on the ship, Captain Marlowe and his crew prepared for the next stage. They would not remain in orbit indefinitely. The journey ahead would take them into uncharted space, where the stars themselves seemed to watch and wait. They ran simulations, tested systems, and reviewed protocols. But beneath the professional focus, there was a sense of wonder. Humanity had done what many thought impossible. They had reached the stars with skill, courage, and intelligence. Hours passed as Indomitable orbited Earth, its engines humming softly, its hull glinting in the sunlight. The crew moved with quiet confidence, knowing that this was only the beginning. Beyond the planet, the galaxy awaited a vast expanse of possibilities, challenges, and discoveries. And for the first time, humans were no longer on the sidelines. They were participants, innovators, and explorers. Captain Marlowe looked at the stars through the bridge's large viewing window. He imagined the council, the alien delegates, and countless civilizations that had underestimated humans. He imagined their surprise, their curiosity, and perhaps even their admiration. "They will remember this day," he said softly. "They will remember that humans do not surrender, that humans do not quit, and that humans will rise to meet the impossible." The crew exchanged glances, each feeling the weight of history upon them. They were ordinary people by ordinary standards, yet here they were, carrying the hopes of billions, showing the galaxy that humanity could achieve the unimaginable. And as Earth turned silently beneath them, bathed in sunlight, they knew that the universe had just received its first glimpse of a species that refused to be underestimated. Outside the ship, the stars continued to shine, distant and eternal. They watched as Indomitable moved gracefully through orbit, a testament to human creativity, courage, and persistence. The galaxy had been informed, and the message was clear. Earth was no longer a quiet world, and its people were no longer a curiosity. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never see them the same way again. As the day drew to a close, the ship orbited silently, the crew preparing for the next phase of their journey. They knew challenges awaited. But they also knew that they carried something stronger than technology or weapons. They carried the spirit of humanity itself. It was a spirit of curiosity, resilience, and determination. And with that spirit, they would face whatever the stars had in store. In the quiet moments, as monitors glowed softly and engines purred, Captain Marlowe allowed himself one last thought. Humanity had begun its journey into the galaxy, and the universe would be watching. But humans were ready not just to be seen, but to leave a mark that could never be forgotten. Indomitable floated in the darkness, Earth below, stars above, and a human crew ready to rise to the challenges of the cosmos. It was the beginning of a new chapter. Not just for the ship, not just for the crew, but for all of humanity. The galaxy had its first warning. Underestimate humans at your own risk. And so, as Earth turned beneath them, glowing softly against the vastness of space, humanity's first warship prepared to take its next steps, and the stars themselves seemed to lean closer, watching with quiet anticipation. Far beyond Earth, in a massive crystalline chamber orbiting a distant star, the council convened. The chamber floated in silence, shaped like a vast prism that refracted the light of the nearby sun into brilliant patterns across its walls. Delegates from dozens of civilizations, each more ancient and advanced than the last, filled the room. Their forms varied in every imaginable way. Some had flowing translucent bodies that shimmered with internal light. Others had armored shells, multiple limbs, or eyes that rotated independently. They were beings who had ruled sectors of space for centuries, whose fleets and technologies dwarfed anything humans had ever dreamed of. Normally, the council's debates were long, measured, and tedious. Each voice carried authority, and decisions could take decades to finalize. Today, however, those long deliberations were interrupted by something entirely unexpected. A signal arrived from the edge of a minor system in a quiet corner of the galaxy. The feed was unassuming at first, just a simple transmission labeled from Sol, Earth. The Council's monitors displayed a live view of a warship, sleek and powerful, lifting from the surface of its home planet, with engines blazing and precision unmatched. There was a stunned silence. The Council had seen many things in its history, but this was unlike anything they expected. They had assumed that Earth's inhabitants were primitive, limited, and barely capable of interstellar travel. But now, before their very eyes, a fully armed, operational warship was breaking free from the planet's atmosphere. It moved with precision and grace, its systems humming as if the ship itself were alive. The delegates could not believe what they were seeing. One of the Council's most respected figures, a being known as Vathar, spoke first. Its voice resonated in harmonic frequencies, filling the chamber with vibrations that were felt as much as heard. "What is this?" it asked. This is not possible. The records indicate that their technology is primitive. Yet, here they are, a fully armed warship in orbit. Another delegate, a crystalline intelligence named Shrin, rotated its many eyes in confusion. "The specifications are extraordinary," it said. "Their engines are efficient beyond known limits, their hull design, remarkable, and their coordination, every system operates in perfect harmony. It is unlike anything we have catalogued from a species at this stage." The Council erupted into discussion, voices overlapping, shapes shifting in agitation. Many expressed doubt. "Perhaps it is a single experimental craft," said one voice, deep and throaty, resonating like underground drums. "It may not be representative of their capabilities. They could be bluffing." But as they continued to watch, it became clear that this was no bluff. The ship, indomitable, maintained a stable orbit, systems fully operational, ready to respond to any situation. It transmitted a simple, clear message, a greeting from humanity, expressing their intent to explore, cooperate, and protect their world. The tone was polite, confident, and calm, yet every word carried weight. It was the kind of message that demanded attention without threatening aggression. The council fell silent again, this time not from disbelief, but from awe. A minor delegate, small and unassuming, whispered, "They are organized, and they are not afraid." Another voice, older than most stars in the galaxy, admitted, "They think differently. Their technology, their approach, it is not just advanced, it is intelligent, in a way we did not anticipate." Back on Indomitable, Captain Elias Marlowe and his crew monitored the Council's response with a mix of curiosity and pride. The ship's sensors had detected the acknowledgement from the Council, and it was clear that every delegate was watching, analyzing, and reassessing humanity's place in the galaxy. "They're staring," Captain Marlowe said quietly to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Hannah Lee. "They see us, and they're trying to understand what we are." "That," Hannah smiled faintly. "They'll understand soon enough," she replied. "Humans don't just survive. We adapt. We innovate. We push boundaries. They've never seen anything like us." The Council debated whether to respond directly or simply observe. Some feared that responding too quickly might provoke aggression. Others worried that silence could be interpreted as weakness. Finally, the Council agreed to send a representative message, requesting formal communication and further interaction. It was a cautious step, but it acknowledged a fundamental truth. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy could no longer ignore it. While the Council deliberated, the crew of Indomitable conducted maneuvers to demonstrate the ship's capabilities. Small shuttles detached and redocked with precise synchronization, thrusters adjusting in real time to maintain perfect formation. Engineers monitored energy distribution, showing how the ship could sustain long-term operations without risking failure. The demonstration was subtle, not meant as a threat, but it sent a clear signal. Humans were capable, disciplined, and creative. The alien delegates watched every movement through the live feed. They were not accustomed to seeing such coordinated efforts from a species so recently emerging into spacefaring technology. Their own fleets often relied on sheer size, overwhelming force, or centuries of pre-existing infrastructure. Humans, by contrast, relied on ingenuity, careful planning, and adaptability. It was a method of thinking that few civilizations had encountered, and it left the Council uncertain how to categorize this new player. Some delegates began to express a mix of fear and admiration. "They are not like the others," said one, its form flickering, as if unsure how to contain its excitement. "Their technology is one thing, but their mindset, it is unpredictable. And unpredictability in a species capable of interstellar travel can be dangerous or extraordinary." Another delegate, with a smooth, flowing body that shimmered like liquid glass, noted, "They do not rely solely on power. They rely on creativity, on intelligence, on problem-solving. That is rare among species at this stage. Most species use brute force first and think later. Humans, they think first and act with precision." Captain Marlowe continued to observe quietly, allowing the Council to see humans at their best. There was no show of aggression, no intimidation, no boasting. Instead, humans simply performed the tasks they had trained for, demonstrating their skills through action and efficiency. Every maneuver, every calculation, every adjustment broadcast across the galaxy showed that humans were not only capable of survival, they were capable of excellence. As hours passed, Earth's first warship continued its orbit, the crew maintaining calm focus while the galaxy observed in stunned silence. The Council sent additional questions, inquiring about Earth's resources, its population, and its intentions. Captain Marlowe answered each with honesty and clarity, emphasizing cooperation, exploration, and the protection of human life. He did not hide the fact that humanity could defend itself if necessary, but he made it clear that humans preferred understanding over conflict. This approach had an unexpected effect. The Council began to respect the humans, not out of fear, but out of recognition. They realized that Earth had achieved something remarkable. A species with no history of interstellar conquest had built a warship capable of engaging the galaxy, yet chose diplomacy, efficiency, and ingenuity over aggression. The Council had not anticipated that humans could display such restraint while being fully capable of power. Back on Indomitable, the crew sensed the shift in perception. Engineers exchanged quiet smiles as they continued their systems checks. Pilots practiced maneuvers, confident that their skills were being observed and admired. Scientists discussed the implications of this first contact, recognizing that humanity's approach could reshape how the galaxy interacted with new species. Captain Marlowe allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. Humanity had arrived, not with force, but with intelligence, courage, and vision. The Council's deliberations continued late into the galactic cycle. Some delegates wanted to test humanity further, to see if they could maintain their composure under pressure. Others argued that Earth should be offered a place among allied civilizations immediately, given its potential. There was no consensus yet. But one thing was certain. Humans could no longer be underestimated. They had shifted the balance of expectation with one simple act, the launch of a ship that symbolized everything humanity could achieve. As the day drew to a close, Captain Marlowe addressed his crew. "They have seen us," he said. "They understand now that humans are not insignificant. They may not fully know what we can do yet, but they will learn. And when they do, we will have changed the galaxy forever, not with war, but with proof of our potential." The crew felt a sense of quiet pride. They were ordinary people, drawn together by circumstance, training, and determination. Yet together, they had accomplished something extraordinary. They had shown the galaxy that humanity could innovate, excel, and rise above expectations. They had turned doubt into recognition and curiosity into respect. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent, yet watchful. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, empires conquer and crumble. Now, for the first time, they observed a species that had begun its journey not with conquest, but with ingenuity, courage, and heart. And even the distant stars seemed to lean closer, as if acknowledging the arrival of humans among the stars. Captain Marlowe looked out at the endless black, dotted with points of light, and allowed himself one final thought for the night. Humanity had taken its first step into the wider galaxy. The Council had been stunned. The delegates had been impressed. And the stars had begun to watch. The journey ahead would be long and full of challenges, but humans had already proven one fundamental truth: they would never be underestimated again. And so, as Earth rotated silently below, and the galaxy observed in awe, the first chapter of humanity's true story among the stars came to a close. It was a story of courage, innovation, and the quiet power of determination. The universe had taken notice, and it was only the beginning. The Council had requested a formal meeting, and for the first time, humans would meet the galaxy on its own terms. Indomitable remained in orbit above Earth, stable and ready, while shuttles prepared for the journey to the Council's floating chamber. Captain Elias Marlowe stood at the bridge, surveying the crew. There was excitement, yes, but also focus. This was not a battle, it was a test of humanity's intelligence, creativity, and courage. How humans presented themselves now could define the way the galaxy perceived them for generations. The shuttles detached with smooth precision, gliding through the void like silver birds against the black of space. Each was piloted by skilled humans trained for this very mission. Scientists, diplomats, and engineers sat alongside pilots, all wearing uniforms that balanced professionalism and practicality. They carried no weapons beyond those necessary for defense. This was a demonstration of confidence, not aggression. As the shuttles approached the Council's chamber, a vast structure of crystal and light, Captain Marlowe allowed himself a moment to observe its scale. The chamber seemed to stretch endlessly, its walls reflecting the distant stars. Delegates of the Council floated in graceful orbits around the chamber's interior, their many forms and shapes casting reflections in the crystal surfaces. Some had multiple limbs, others had bodies composed of energy, and all radiated the calm authority of civilizations that had survived for thousands of years. The human shuttles docked with careful synchronization, and the crew stepped into the chamber. The first impressions were critical. Humans walked upright, showing confidence without arrogance. Their movements were measured and calm, displaying an understanding of space, gravity, and presence. Captain Marlowe led the way, his posture formal but approachable. "We come in peace," he said simply, projecting his voice clearly across the chamber. "We are here to meet, to learn, and to share knowledge." For a long moment, the council remained silent. The delegates had expected aggression, or at least uncertainty. Instead, they saw humans who were composed, respectful, and fully aware of the stakes. Eyes of many types, crystalline, multifaceted, and luminous, turned toward them. The chamber seemed to hold its breath. Then, Vathar spoke. "Your species has achieved what few others could," it said, its harmonic voice resonating through the room. "A fully operational warship in orbit, and you arrive without threat or chaos. You act with awareness and precision. Tell us, humans, why you have come." Captain Marlowe bowed slightly, a gesture of respect learned from observing countless cultures. "We have come because our planet is no longer isolated," he explained. "Earth has watched the stars for centuries. We have listened, studied, and learned. We have built Indomitable not to challenge others, but to be seen as capable participants in this galaxy. We wish to cooperate, to share knowledge, and to defend our home, should it be necessary." The council murmured among themselves. It was rare for a species to speak so openly and yet so confidently. Many civilizations used posturing, threats, or displays of power to communicate their intent. Humans, however, relied on clarity, honesty, and strategic presentation. It was both unexpected and impressive. Shrin, the crystalline intelligence, floated closer, rotating its multiple eyes in curiosity. "You demonstrate skill in technology, coordination, and resource management," it said. "Your warship shows design principles that are efficient and resilient. How did your species develop such advanced systems in such a short time?" Hana Lee, the communications officer, stepped forward. "Humans are adaptive," she said. "We learn quickly, innovate constantly, and collaborate across cultures and disciplines. We use our creativity to solve problems, not just rely on brute force. Our technology reflects our thinking. We build tools to work with challenges, not to dominate them." The council observed as engineers on the human team provided a demonstration. Using a portable interface, they controlled drones within the chamber, moving them through complex courses with precision and efficiency. Each drone adjusted to obstacles, calculated paths, and avoided collisions with smooth, almost effortless coordination. The delegates watched, amazed. Another delegate, a fluid-like being that shimmered with internal light, commented, "Your species' problem-solving abilities are extraordinary. Even in controlled environments, you demonstrate adaptability beyond what we predicted. You anticipate, respond, and refine. This is rare." Captain Marlowe nodded. "We value understanding," he said. "Our goal is to learn as much as we can from you, and to contribute what we can in return. Earth is new to interstellar relations, but we intend to grow responsibly and intelligently." The chamber's atmosphere shifted. Delegates, once skeptical, began to exchange signals of respect. The humans had done what few expected. They had entered the room without intimidation, presented their capabilities, and spoken with honesty. Yet their actions spoke louder than words. The council realized that Earth was not a species to dismiss, but one to watch carefully. A discussion followed in which humans were invited to speak about their planet, their population, and their philosophy. Captain Marlowe emphasized collaboration, education, and perseverance. He spoke of the diversity of Earth's species, the lessons learned from centuries of trial and error, and the human capacity to adapt in unexpected ways. "We are resourceful, determined, and willing to learn," he said. "Our strength lies not in conquest, but in ingenuity and the courage to face challenges." The council listened, fascinated. Alien civilizations had often encountered species that relied on force or deceit, yet here were humans, showing competence, creativity, and honesty. Even those who had been hesitant to acknowledge humans' potential could not deny the evidence. After several cycles of observation and dialogue, the Council requested a demonstration of the warship's maneuvering capabilities. Captain Marlowe agreed, and humans returned to Indomitable to prepare. Outside, the ship performed complex orbital adjustments, tested its engines, and displayed its defensive systems. The Council monitored every movement, noting how humans managed efficiency, safety, and precision simultaneously. Vathar spoke again, this time with a tone of respect. Your species operates differently from any we have encountered. You combine technology, intellect, and creativity to produce outcomes that are both effective and elegant. You do not rely on overwhelming force, yet you are formidable. We see now that Earth is more than we assumed, Shrin added. Your systems are designed to maximize potential without waste. Your engineering reflects understanding, foresight, and adaptability. It is impressive. Captain Marlowe allowed himself a small, quiet smile. Humans had not come seeking recognition, yet the galaxy had begun to grant it. They had arrived not with weapons, not with threats, but with intelligence, cooperation, and the will to demonstrate their capabilities clearly and calmly. The interaction continued with deeper questions about human society, philosophy, and goals. The delegates were curious about how a species with no history of interstellar dominance could advance so rapidly. Humans explained their dedication to collaboration, learning from mistakes, and valuing every individual's contribution. They spoke of curiosity as a driving force, and persistence as a defining trait. Slowly, the Council began to shift its perception. Where there had been doubt, there was now cautious admiration. Where there had been skepticism, there was recognition. Humans had proven that capability and ingenuity could coexist with ethics and restraint. Outside the chamber, the stars continued to shine, distant and timeless. The galaxy had witnessed countless species rise and fall. Yet the story of Earth was different. Humans had entered the galactic stage not as conquerors, but as innovators. They had shown that intelligence, creativity, and courage could achieve what others assumed impossible. As the formal session concluded, Captain Marlowe addressed the Council one final time. "We are honored to meet you," he said. "We will continue to learn, to explore, and to demonstrate the best of what humanity can offer. We do not seek conflict, but we will never shrink from the challenge of growth or discovery. Earth is ready to join the galaxy, and we hope to do so with respect, cooperation, and shared knowledge." The Council remained silent for a long moment, then collectively acknowledged the humans. While many questions still remained, one truth had become clear. Humans were no longer the underestimated species of old. They had arrived with ingenuity, courage, and the confidence to act responsibly. The galaxy would have to adjust its assumptions. Back on Indomitable, the crew relaxed slightly, their training and discipline still in effect but their hearts lighter. They had faced the most sophisticated civilizations in the galaxy and had emerged with respect and recognition. Engineers exchanged smiles, pilots nodded to one another, and scientists whispered quietly about the significance of this moment. Captain Marlowe allowed himself to reflect. Humans had always faced the impossible. On Earth, they had survived plagues, wars, natural disasters, and social upheaval. They had built civilizations, explored oceans, climbed mountains, and invented technologies beyond imagination. Now, in the vastness of space, they had faced the galaxy itself, and they had been seen, understood, and respected. The Council had been impressed not by brute force, but by intelligence. Humans had demonstrated their skill, adaptability, and ingenuity. They had shown the value of collaboration, clear thinking, and courage in the face of uncertainty. And in doing so, they had earned a place among the stars, not through intimidation, but through action that spoke louder than words. As the humans returned to their ship, preparing to orbit Earth once more, Captain Marlowe addressed his crew. "We have shown them what humans can do," he said. "We have not just demonstrated technology, we have demonstrated character, creativity, and resilience. Remember this moment. The galaxy now knows our name, and the stars are watching. This is only the beginning." The crew understood. They had achieved something extraordinary, and the journey ahead promised even greater challenges and discoveries. Humanity had begun its path into the galaxy, proving that intelligence, courage, and ingenuity could make a species remarkable. The stars themselves seemed to acknowledge it, as if the universe had recognized a new force capable of shaping the future. And so, as Earth turned silently below, and Indomitable floated in the quiet vastness of space, humans had earned their first true recognition. They were no longer just a blue planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. They were innovators, thinkers, and explorers. They had taken the first step toward becoming a civilization worthy of the stars, and the universe would remember the day humans proved themselves. The recognition from the Council had marked a turning point. Humans had proven themselves, not through threats or conquest, but through intelligence, creativity, and the courage to face the unknown. Yet Captain Elias Marlowe knew this was only the beginning. Earth's first warship, Indomitable, had demonstrated humanity's potential. But the galaxy was vast, full of civilizations, mysteries, and challenges that tested not only technology, but ingenuity and will. The crew returned to their orbit above Earth with a renewed sense of purpose. Each member carried the pride of billions below and the weight of the galaxy's attention. Engineers ran final systems checks, ensuring that Indomitable was ready for extended operations. Pilots rehearsed orbital maneuvers, ready to respond to any scenario. Scientists analyzed data from the Council's chamber, noting both the gaps in their knowledge and the opportunities to learn. Captain Marlowe stood at the bridge, looking out at the planet below. From this height, Earth was a small, fragile sphere, yet it held a species capable of remarkable things. "We've been seen," he said quietly to Lieutenant Hannah Lee. "The galaxy knows we exist. Now it's time to prove that humans are more than capable of contributing to the stars." Hannah nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of Earth behind the ship. "They respect us," she said, "and respect is the foundation for everything else: alliances, trade, knowledge. This is our chance to build relationships, not just show power." The first step came in the form of ambassadors from several Council civilizations who had volunteered to visit Earth. They were curious, cautious, but eager to see firsthand what humanity had to offer. Shuttles ferried them from orbit to the surface, where carefully prepared facilities awaited. The ambassadors' eyes widened at the scale of human cities, the complexity of infrastructure, and the diversity of life. Humans were different, yet capable in ways that surprised even the most advanced observers. Captain Marlowe and his crew guided the ambassadors, demonstrating Earth's achievements and explaining the principles behind Indomitable. They showed how human engineering balanced efficiency, adaptability, and resilience. They explained that humans did not seek domination, but mastery of challenges through creativity and cooperation. The ambassadors listened intently, their expressions shifting from curiosity to admiration. One ambassador, a being of flowing energy named Lyris, asked, "Your species has achieved remarkable progress in a short time. How do you overcome obstacles that others would see as impossible?" Captain Marlowe smiled. "We never give up," he said. "We learn from our mistakes, we work together, and we use our creativity to solve problems. It is not always easy, but we believe that anything worth achieving is worth the effort. Challenges are opportunities, not reasons to stop." The ambassadors nodded. They had seen civilizations that relied on size, history, or inherited knowledge to assert dominance. Humans were different. They relied on adaptability, teamwork, and intelligence. It was a philosophy that few species had encountered, and it left a deep impression. Over the following weeks, Earth and the Council exchanged knowledge. Humans shared their scientific discoveries, ecological strategies, and engineering methods. They learned in return about advanced energy systems, interstellar navigation, and diplomacy among countless species. The exchange was not one-sided. Humans adapted the knowledge to their needs, finding creative applications that even veteran council members had not anticipated. Meanwhile, Indomitable continued its presence in orbit, a symbol of human capability and ambition. Pilots conducted precision maneuvers, showing efficiency and discipline. Engineers refined propulsion systems, finding ways to maximize energy use without sacrificing stability. Scientists tested long-range sensors, exploring how human technology could detect distant phenomena in the galaxy. Every action demonstrated that humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, capable of thinking differently from established civilizations. News of Earth's capabilities spread across the galaxy. Ships from other civilizations arrived, not in hostility, but to observe, to learn, and to engage. Some sought trade, others wanted alliances, and a few simply wished to understand what had made humanity so unique. Humans approached each encounter with the same philosophy: respect, curiosity, and ingenuity. Their approach earned trust, and trust led to opportunities. Captain Marlowe observed a fleet of ships from a nearby system as they arrived in orbit. Instead of feeling threatened, he saw an opportunity. "They've come to learn," he said. "Let's show them what humans can offer." Hana Lee added, "And let's learn from them as well. This is how we grow, not just in strength, but in understanding." The ambassadors who had visited Earth began traveling back to their home systems, carrying stories of a species that combined courage, intelligence, and ethics. Across the galaxy, rumors of humanity's ingenuity spread. They had not conquered. They had not deceived. They had impressed through competence, creativity, and character. The Council formally invited humans to participate in interstellar projects. Humans contributed to mapping uncharted regions of space, assisting with ecological restoration on damaged planets, and developing collaborative defense strategies that combined multiple species technologies. Every project demonstrated that humans could adapt, improve, and innovate in ways that even advanced civilizations had not predicted. One particularly challenging project involved stabilizing a system at risk of collapse due to conflicting gravitational forces. Humans analyzed the problem, proposed a solution, and coordinated with multiple species to implement it. The result was a success that not only saved the system, but also demonstrated humans' capacity for rapid, creative problem-solving under pressure. The Council watched with growing respect. Captain Marlowe reflected on the journey from the first launch of Indomitable to these accomplishments. Humans had started as a planet underestimated, ignored, and dismissed. Now, they were seen as a species capable of shaping the galaxy through intelligence, cooperation, and vision. The crew's training, perseverance, and ingenuity had turned the impossible into reality. The stars above seemed to acknowledge this transformation. As humans continued to expand their presence, they did so not with aggression, but with initiative and understanding. Every mission, every interaction, every technological achievement added to a growing reputation. Humanity was not to be underestimated. On the surface of Earth, people watched in awe as news of interstellar collaboration reached them. Children gazed at the night sky, imagining the wonders that awaited. Scientists and engineers felt pride in the species they represented, while leaders recognized that Earth had become a respected participant in galactic affairs. Humanity had moved from obscurity to recognition, from curiosity to respect, all through ingenuity, courage, and determination. The crew of Indomitable continued their work with humility and focus. They had achieved much, yet they understood that the galaxy offered endless opportunities for learning, discovery, and contribution. Every challenge was a chance to demonstrate human adaptability, every new contact, an opportunity to share knowledge, and every unknown system, a stage for creativity. Captain Marlowe addressed the crew once more. "We have shown the galaxy who we are," he said, "but this is only the beginning. Humans will continue to explore, to learn, and to contribute. We do not seek to dominate, But we will shape the future with intelligence, courage, and heart. The stars are watching, and we are ready. As Indomitable orbited Earth, preparing for the next phase of exploration, the crew looked outward with hope and determination. They were no longer merely representatives of a single planet, they were ambassadors of a species that had proven its potential. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had once underestimated humanity now approached with respect and curiosity. The path forward was not without challenges, but humans had already demonstrated that they could rise to meet the impossible. The Council, the ambassadors, and countless observers had learned a valuable lesson. Humans combined ingenuity, adaptability, and ethical decision-making in ways that made them unpredictable, yet admirable. They were a species capable of changing assumptions, solving complex problems, and earning trust through action. They had arrived not as conquerors, but as innovators. And so, as Earth rotated silently below and the stars shone timelessly above, humanity's first chapter in the galaxy drew to a close. Indomitable floated in orbit, a testament to what humans could achieve. The Council, once skeptical, now acknowledged that humanity had earned a place among the stars. Allies, ambassadors, and even distant civilizations recognized that Earth's people had a role to play in shaping the future. Captain Marlowe allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. Humans had proven that determination, intelligence, and cooperation could overcome doubt, skepticism, and underestimation. They had reached beyond their home planet, impressed the galaxy, and set a standard for what it meant to be human. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer in response, distant, yet attentive. The galaxy had watched as humans rose, and the message was clear. Underestimate this species at your own risk. Humans were here, capable of brilliance, innovation, and courage. Their journey had only begun, and the universe would witness every step. As the crew of Indomitable prepared for new missions, new discoveries, and new challenges, they understood one fundamental truth. The galaxy was no longer an observer. It was a partner, a stage, and a field for humanity's potential. And with each mission, humans would continue to prove that intelligence, creativity, and heart could shape the future. Not through force, but through excellence. The journey ahead was vast, full of unknowns. But humans faced it with unwavering resolve. They had been underestimated, and they had risen. They had been ignored, and they had been acknowledged. They had been curious, and the galaxy had responded. Humanity's first steps among the stars had been bold, remarkable, and unforgettable. And so, as Earth glowed softly below, and Indomitable floated silently above, the stars themselves seemed to lean closer, watching a species that refused to be ordinary, that thrived on ingenuity, courage, and cooperation. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as innovators, explorers, and creators of a future that would be remembered across the galaxy for generations to come.